Hello there.
Hi.
Welcome to Passenger Seat. My name is Madison Bills. This is Belinda Glenn, and this is Ryan Brown.
I'm Ryan.
Yes.
Which I just discovered right before this video started.
Yeah, she was
Very
all like,
unprofessional.
yeah, she was all like, wait, what was your name again?
So we're off to a great start.
Yeah, for sure.
Is what you're saying.
We're hitting it off.
Obviously did my homework. And
But you always do that with your guests. You do in-depth pieces. So
Absolutely.
Yes, exactly, of course.
I'm expecting some hard-hitting journalism here.
Okay.
Hard-hitting journalism.
To that end, like, who are you again?
So yeah, I'm Ryan.
He's Ryan.
I'm Ryan. I'm a YouTuber.
He's a YouTuber. He's our first celebrity guest.
I am an influencer, if I can say that.
Yeah, by all means.
So yeah, I have my own channel, Crimson Studios, and I just do some satirical commentary on there. Talk about issues going on in the community, such as things like COPA that everyone's dealing with right now in YouTube space, and just internet, and usually pointing out the obvious in very complex situations.
What do you mean by that? Because I think so. Your YouTube channel is about YouTube.
So I talk about a lot of issues going on social media. They don't necessarily have to be about social media, but for instance, I would talk about the situation right now with COPA and the new child policies here on YouTube, and I would explain them as if I were talking to an idiot, basically.
Oh, okay.
And basically say, calm down, life's not over.
Okay.
So it's like comedic too. Like you're.
Oh yeah, it's totally. The way I would compare it is, it's like if you ever watched Stephen Colbert's old show, The Colbert Report, or any late night show.
Okay.
It's kind of like a late night show format. So I do like a monologue, and then I do segments with like skits in it, and all the skits are me being over the top, usually taking the strongest opinion of opposite of what I actually believe, so that you know I'm using satire.
Okay,
in a
I
sense.
gotcha. Yeah,
So,
and I've seen a few of your stuff, and it got me laughing. Like
Thank
just the small little like videos you throw in to help on top of that, like that one Hercules where he was all like disappointed, like that got me dying.
Thank you. I need the ego bump today. So.
Well, you got it. I gave it
What's
to
the
you.
Hercules? What is it?
Oh, so there was just like this little clip from Hercules, the TV show.
It's a meme. It's
Like
a
the,
meme.
Yeah.
the old Hercules.
The old
TV
one,
show
yeah.
From like the 90s.
Yeah.
Yes, the one that what was his name?
Kevin Sorbo.
Kevin
He's from
Sorbo.
here.
Yeah, he is.
At this
He's
point,
a local celebrity.
it's probably a dead meme, but I just love using all the. I have a whole folder on my computer of just memes that I found over the years that I can use in videos, and they're all dead memes at this point. But I have like hundreds of them. They're all organized. It's wonderful.
None of them
That
are
is
at all
awesome.
relevant or.
I mean, some you can bring them back. Dead memes come back.
Resurrect them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Particularly with a channel like yours, right? With the satire.
Oh yeah.
So if
exactly.
you're able to get people laughing about it again, then it'll eventually come back, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, one of my favorite things to do is I have a series where I kind of talk about where is blank now, where I actually go back and look at old meme personalities and how they blew up online, and a lot of them were very short-lived. It's like their 15 minutes of fame.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go back, I look at their journey of how they became, like, for instance, Tourette's guy. I don't know if you know who that is. Or the Numa Numa guy.
Yeah.
Or Numa Numa was a video I did that was pretty popular. And I go back, I tell their story, and then I try to either reach out to them personally and try to get them to give me a little blip of what's going on in their lives now. I don't know if you guys remember who Liam Kyle Sullivan is.
No.
He was the guy who did Shoes.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
he's a comedian, and he did a bunch of stuff like in the early 2000 times of YouTube, earlier days of YouTube. So I did a video on him and Shoes, and I reached out to him and talked about what he's doing now. He's editing for the Ellen show, I believe now.
You're kidding.
Yeah, so that's what
Dude,
he does now.
what?
So it's
That's
just kinda,
so
I kind of
cool.
do a retrospective of that, and then I also like to compare the internet then to the internet now. That's actually the kind of the gist of my whole series. Is like we go back, look at these memes, and then we look at how much of this could fly today, and also if they did this today, would they have blown up? And it's kind of an interesting concept to look at the way the internet worked back then in the early days of YouTube and social media versus now when it's just like it's everywhere. Now it's being regulated with things like COPA, like I mentioned before.
Right.
So we're kind of entering or leaving the kind of wild, wild west era of social media,
Right.
and we're kind of entering a new danger zone of social justice warriors and regulation and stuff like that.
But does
So,
that just mean that YouTube is becoming the new TV?
yeah, I mean, it was always going to happen. That's why I get really upset with a lot of my contemporaries and commentary who are kind of like the edgy crowd of YouTube. They're edgy. They talk about YouTube drama and all this stuff, and they make it sound super serious and dank. But they're complaining about it because they're like, oh man, we're losing what YouTube was all about. And, you know, it is true. But whenever you get money put into something like YouTube, which YouTube, by the way, was never a small thing, it immediately got bought up by Google in 2005.
Wow.
Like, it got bought up right away. So
Early.
it immediately became hugely corporate, right away. It may not have seemed like it on the platform, but it was hugely corporate. Google bought it. And so now, with this new regulation stuff, it pretty much eliminates a competitor to YouTube unless Amazon were to launch something, because you just need massive funding to compete with someone like Google, and no startup's ever going to compete with that.
Right.
Ever. So unless Google goes down completely or something like that.
Are people speculating that someone will start their own YouTube
Yeah,
kind
but
of thing that doesn't have regulations? Is that what you're saying?
They've been doing that for years. I think that's like the subtle dream and hope in a lot of my friends' minds, but it's never going to happen. It's just not.
It's
It
already
can't.
too established.
It's too established, and the way the market is now, it's just too hard to support itself and make any money there, because there's so much business in YouTube that it has become the new TV, and TV, has regulations as things you can say, things you can't say, shows you can air and shows you can't unless it's on HBO and stuff. So maybe somewhere down the line, now you have to market videos as adult or child friendly. So
Right.
maybe that's just the beginning of this. It's we'll have this section of YouTube which is more adult, and this section of YouTube which is more kids, and I think that's fine. I have nothing wrong with that.
Although it is kind of an odd thing, because when you put it that way, in my mind, I first automatically think, oh, anything that's an adult is going to be adult material.
Right.
Yeah.
Our channel, now I'm thinking that we probably would end up putting it under adult because it's not for kids, but it's not like we have anything even really edgy.
Right,
Well,
for
we-
sure. We haven't
Well,
done anything vulgar or anything.
Something
like
that YouTube's really good at is being very vague.
Sure.
And
So far, yeah, especially
but
with their new rule.
I feel like that's with a lot of just even laws. Laws seem very vague sometimes, at least when they're explained to you, and then they don't tell you any of the in-depth works because they don't. Well, the real reason is people are stupid. So if they tried to explain everything to you, you'd either freak out or you would not understand at all. So that's probably partially what it is. But it is a very vague rule. So I would just play it safe.
Well, and one thing that could actually be a strength as far as it being vague is since it's not so dialed in, people can. There's still a lot of wiggle room. You can still get away with doing a lot of things.
You
in
can
that
look at it
regard.
that way, or you can look at it as it gives YouTube a lot of wiggle room to get you off the platform because it's very vague, and they determine what is and is not following the rule because it's their platform.
Right, because they get to make that call.
They get to make that
You
call.
don't get to make that call.
And they don't have
Okay.
to, and they don't have to
Okay.
tell you why. So
That's interesting.
yeah,
I didn't see it that way.
it goes both ways.
Yeah, for sure. Double-edged sword.
Actually, do you think YouTube, because I just realized, so for the past year or two, I've had a paid YouTube subscription, not YouTube Music, just YouTube with no ads.
Right.
So now it's occurring to me, I wonder if they're trying to move towards being just a streaming service, not just a streaming service, but a streaming service that has mostly monthly subscriptions instead of just a bunch of free.
I mean, I don't know.
It's so annoying when there's ads. I don't know how people deal with it.
I mean,
They
they're
watch it.
definitely going to push it because that's where more money is.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know, YouTube loses money for Google, I think, every year. I don't know if
No
it's
way.
still that way, but for a long time, I don't know if I'd have to look it up if it's still that way, but for a long time, they only lost money for Google every year to sustain the platform. So to me, I mean, in order to compete in a market with Netflix and all this other stuff, if you notice, a lot of larger creators are getting shows now on YouTube Red, which is a more highly produced
Yeah.
YouTube,
Yeah.
and it's basically like Netflix.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think honestly that's kind of what they're pushing to do, and that's also why the edgier content stuff just doesn't fly, because it doesn't go there. I mean, there will probably be a section for it, but even then, there's going to be rules.
That's actually really interesting, because one kind of niche that's serious radio, sounds like a totally different thing, but Howard Stern went to Sirius FM radio,
Mhm.
right? Where he
can
could
swear
kind of
and everything.
do whatever he wants.
Yep.
Which is sort of like YouTube in a way has been somewhere, it sounds like you're saying, where like people could say whatever they want, but now it's trying to go into streaming. But I wonder if you can do both. Can you have both Howard Stern and like roles in the same?
I think in theory, down the line you will be able to, and that'll just be part of like, because on Netflix, obviously, tons of shows are like really edgy or dark or whatever.
Right.
So I think down the line that's what it will be. But the thing is, I don't know if it'll be like just anybody who can make it. It's going to be it's much more going to be cherry picked.
Sure.
Kind of like the industry.
Right.
So that's why I think it's not going to be like anybody can pop up and be a personality. It's just going to be harder. It's going to be harder across the entire internet. It's not just going to be YouTube. It's every platform is catching up to each other in different ways. So like it's going to be harder to make on Instagram or Facebook or any of this stuff. Like it's just the way it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
We have to wait for whatever the next big revolution is that anyone can be something in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know what that'll be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. But time will tell, right?
Time will tell. Time will tell. I hope that we can all be here to see it. Unless it goes up Crap Creek. I'm not swearing.
No, you're not.
Well, you can buy
Very
CBD
careful
there.
about
Not
Right here.
promote. We're not promoting that.
Right
no.
on.
We're not promoting
yeah.
that.
I
We're
mean,
not promoting that.
that. Hey, look at that.
I'm not going to tell anyone we're on Bangerter and 98 South. Just, you know, I'm not going to tell. I'm
Don't
not going to
dox
say that.
us.
Yeah, that's
Dox
not.
us.
Yeah, because we're not in Utah.
Really quick, I have one thing I do understand about YouTube because I worked with I was in a short film with the Lemons. Do you know who the Lemons are? They're a local YouTube family. Living with Lemons, I think is.
I mean, it sounds familiar, but if it's a family, I probably don't.
Okay, yeah, it's a total for kids like family kind of thing. It's like their family, and then some of their kids are super super talented. That's how I met them through this short film thing. But they were saying that when they first started their channel, they like blew up. They got all these views, and they actually hired a director to direct all their videos and stuff because they were like getting so much money from it. And then YouTube changed its algorithms, and suddenly they literally like all of their views just tanked, and like they heard of others that happening too. So they fired the director. They kept doing it, but they couldn't keep him because they couldn't pay for that anymore. But they obviously still have a channel and they're still going. So like that just
It's
just with
really,
like, the content,
really hard for kids channels right now, or those
but
type
YouTube's
of channels.
choosing to make it hard for them, right?
But I don't know if they're just like, oh, let's screw all these kids channels, like blah. But they're seeing things like you mentioned, like you can't have comments if you have a kids only channel now, or whatever.
Okay.
Is what
At
you were,
all.
what you well, I don't know if it's at all, but if you, like you were saying before this started, like if we were to choose where kids friendly, we would lose comments on this video.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So they're noticing that there is a lot of like predatory action on these kids videos, and also basically the new FTC rule or case against YouTube was that you can't target advertising at children or whatever, or a certain percentage of your videos cannot be, because that's how it's regulated on television. On television, you can only have so many ads between each show on a kid's channel, or like on SpongeBob, you can only have so many minutes of ads. And on YouTube, a friend of mine, Nerd City, really good channel, exposed another YouTuber, Jake Paul, for advertising 70% of the time in his videos
Wow.
geared to children, which he said in the video, if this was on TV, would actually break the law. So part of this rule, I think, I don't want to like speculate and be like, oh, it was because of Nerd City's video, but it has to do with all that stuff. So it's a lot of factors as to why they're changing the algorithm, and the algorithm actually updates itself on its own because it's an AI, so it sees things that are doing well and it starts pushing those things. And what I've heard from watching certain channels like H3 that talk about this a lot, because they know people at YouTube, is that oftentimes the Google, the engineers that engineer the algorithm are often catching up because to the algorithm, to see what it's doing because it's an AI. It recognizes patterns and follows it. That's all it does. That's all the AI does. Like when people think of AI, they get really kind of sketched out and they think of these really complex things. But right now, AI is very simple. All AI can do is recognize patterns and use those patterns. So it recognizes patterns of what people watch, and then it promotes that thing for a long time.
Interesting. I did not know that, and probably a lot of people didn't know that YouTube algorithms are its own AI, like its own being.
Probably not. I mean, I know a lot of YouTubers that are smaller, even like around my size and smaller than that don't know a lot about, and it's really just kind of basic, like how the algorithm works. Like it pushes what people watch. Like that's the whole goal of the platform, is to have people watch and stay on the platform, right? That's all they care about. That's all they care about.
And they probably also do care about, because I always wonder, like, with all the changes in YouTube growing and becoming bigger and international and all this stuff, like, how tiny little people with little videos still get their videos to go anywhere, but they still do. But that's probably one of the things YouTube wants to preserve, is the fact and the idea that, oh, anyone can get 50,000 views, so they probably still let that happen. That's still probably embedded in their algorithm, to have someone who's a nobody who has nothing. They still probably make it so those people still can get trending.
I don't think the algorithm is as controlled as you make it seem with that.
Oh, really?
Like that makes it seem like someone's sitting there and then they pick a video.
Or
I think they do that. The trending tab is handpicked by people at YouTube. Otherwise, Jimmy Fallon would never be there because his views are like not great compared to like, I know people that get like 10 million views a video and they're never on trending, which makes no sense. That should be trending every day.
You bet.
But then there are videos on the trending page that are like 100,000 views. And you're like, what? The NFL? This is the joke. NFL sponsor or paying to be here. That's what that page is. So yeah, they do. I think they do cherry pick, but at the same time, you can literally just be hitting a trending topic and you're first, and no matter what size you are, that'll get you the views. If you're the first on a trend, like you could get 50,000 views with no subs.
But couldn't, if they wanted to, couldn't YouTube change their algorithm so that kind of isn't really the case? So,
Yeah, they could.
Like, so that's just what I'm saying.
They probably
could,
yeah.
Allow it. Like, they still have it set up.
Yeah, I mean, I know they definitely want to preserve that that mantra.
Yeah, it's like, that's why I figure like young Hollywood stars win Oscars sometimes, because like sometimes you're like, were they really the best that year? But it's like the idea that you could be nobody and then you can win an Oscar.
I can agree with that.
You know, it's like,
I'll tell you what, some people don't
dream.
deserve Oscars. Some people don't. They really do not.
Well, I'm wondering, like, yeah, well, I mean, as far as the Oscars and all that fun stuff goes, I mean, I can only assume, and we can only speculate as to why some win it. Like, it could be a political thing as far as their careers go, and sometimes it's an artistic thing.
Sometimes the movies that win Movie of the Year, I have like no idea why that won.
Me too.
And I'm like, I'm just like, okay, I can be artsy and cultural too, and I won't win an Oscar.
Right, for sure.
I think it's very, I don't know. If it was like an audience decision, movies, I mean, you would have Marvel winning every year.
Yeah, right, for sure.
Transformers would have won.
Michael Bay would have a chance.
Michael Bay would have like probably a few.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, some movies just get gypped. And then some movies, you know, they give them like the lamest Oscar just so that they can get an Oscar and they don't feel bad. The Academy lets them have like sound design or something, or sound editing.
Sure.
Right.
I'm just like
a gimme.
And I would think like Star Wars would win sound editing.
Yeah, for sure.
Every year, because I'm like, they're making up stuff in space. Like they make it up.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
You don't actually get to go out into space and get that sound and get those visual effects. Like they're making this stuff up.
Yeah.
Pure imagination.
So I'm at a loss.
Yeah.
But
well, we're hitting the 20-minute mark, so this will be the end of part 1 with Ryan Brown. We're gonna close this video and we're gonna move on to the next one here pretty soon. So once again, Ryan Brown, Belinda Glenn, Madison Bills. This is Passenger Seat. Be sure to check out his YouTube channel, again, Crimson Studios. It'll be in the description below. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you soon. Welcome back to Passenger Seat. This
Whoa.
is round 2 with Ryan Brown, Madison Bills, Belinda Glenn, Ryan Brown.
I got caught off guard there a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, hello. I'm Ryan.
Oh, you said you were ready, so I was like, all right, cool,
I'm
let's
ready.
jump right in.
I'm ready.
So, last time we spoke a little bit about like YouTube and Ryan's experience with YouTube and the things that he's noticed happening with YouTube and the changes that have been happening. So, in case you want to learn more about that, go check out part 1 of this video, because there's some really insightful stuff in there that I was like fascinated about, like things that I would have never even fathomed. So yeah, check that out, especially if you plan on starting your own YouTube series, and if you have your own YouTube series, it's some good stuff to learn and take from that. Ryan's quite insightful, stuff like that.
Cool.
Anyway, this new video that we're starting, we're going more into, he was sharing some information about his past and how he was a bit of a compulsive liar.
Yeah.
So, not to discredit anything that was said in the last video,
No.
because that time of his life is over, right?
I would like to say I am a recovering compulsive liar.
Recovering
Now I
compulsive
only pertain to white lying every now and then to either get out of doing work or
Or if someone asks you,
it's
"How
kind
do
of,
I look?"
yeah, it's stuff like that, kind of just dumb
Just-
stuff.
just make me look
And to be
bad.
honest, a lot of the lying, a lot of my really, when I'm talking about the compulsive lying, I'm talking about the white lies, but also just the compounding white lies into developing completely fictional stories about myself,
It's so
which is
creative.
really, well, I'm an actor. That is what
You have to be.
and in a way, you build, the thing is, you build them up so much. The thing about compulsive lying, Donald Trump would know this, is that you do it so much that you begin to believe them, and then you begin to believe them as reality. So I actually think some people, including myself, believe these things to be true then.
Interesting about themselves.
Yeah. So I mean, like, give Trump a break, okay? He thinks it's real. But anyway, so for me, it goes back to about the age of 14 when I first moved to Utah, and I moved from a small town in Kansas. It sucked, but like I was just starting high school. I already had an established group of friends where I was, and it was a really tough time to move. And it was just out of nowhere. Like, out of nowhere, my dad got canned at work for a stupid reason that was my brother's fault in a sense.
Oh,
but
snap.
he should have been fired for it. My brother just beat up his boss's son. Anyway,
That's not.
but
That's
he
a
was
personal
he
issue.
was defending a friend.
Not a professional
He was
issue.
but it was ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
And
That's
then
not-
my dad got a better job, thankfully, at GE out here in Salt Lake, where you can probably find us and meet us or whatever. But and
Stalk us.
but it was in the middle. It was just out of nowhere, and it was really a bad time. It was right beginning of high school for me, the summer before, and it just hit me really hard. And I was just like not accepting this move. And after we moved, I don't think I really ever accepted living here at all until, in retrospect, probably till I got to college, did I not let go some of that resentment that I had for moving here. Because it's kind of like, when you move to Utah, and Salt Lake in particular, you're moving to, like, if you're not Mormon, you're moving to, like, a completely other planet. And I had never heard of a Mormon before. Like, I had some friends warn me about it. And I grew up in a very Christian, very, like, Catholic Christian town.
So you would think you would be prepared.
And people warned me like it was like some devil's work out here. And I wasn't religious at all. So I was like, I've never heard of this crap, whatever. And I went, but it is very different. Like, the people are different. I don't want that to sound mean, but people are different. They're just way nicer, and it really, but I couldn't tell if it was like real nice or like, oh, I gotta be nice because I'm gonna go to hell, kind of stuff. And for me, a lot of people, at least in my neighborhood, didn't seem genuine. And then when we first got here, my brother no one was allowed to hang at our house for like almost a year because we were not LDS, like they didn't trust us.
Huh.
So it was really odd. But anyway, in order to fit in, I just felt like I couldn't be myself, and I didn't have that cultural background. So I didn't go to seminary or anything. I didn't know anything about that stuff. So I just like lied about my life to everyone. Like in high school, I got a really nice car for my first car. I bought a souped up Chrysler Crossfire, super nice car.
Right on.
And I told everybody that I got it by trading stock money. And so actually in high school, around like my junior year, people actually asked me about investing advice into stock. Like they'd save money and they were like looking into it, like low-key investing. And I legit studied investment strategies to give these people, because I had built up this lie that I somehow was like making money on the stock and stuff like that. And I had an image because I had a nice car, so I backed it up, right? It connected dots. So that was like one of the littler ones. All of them, believe me, are...
That was littler. That was smaller.
That was one of the smaller ones.
Wow.
And believe me, they're all stupid. Like, the reason for it's dumb. I could have just been like, oh yeah, my parents were awesome and helped me get this car. Or whatever.
Sure,
like, that's all I could have said. That's all I needed to say. But
you're
no,
a professional in stock.
I
That's
need to build a story to make my ego feel bigger.
Right.
And so that was one of them. Another one was like to my family. I visited Kansas a few times after I moved here, and one of them was, this one's a bad one. I needed a reason to go back to Kansas to visit friends because I was so lonely out here. I had friends, but I didn't have anybody that like straight up clicked with. It felt like a chore to hang out with people just because I didn't have anybody I was like clicking with like I did. I didn't have a group per se. I wasn't alone at lunch or anything, but I didn't have any friends that I liked to hang out with after school.
That sat well with your own soul, that you could connect with on.
And I think that was me just resentment, not letting go. I think that's all it was.
I feel you.
And I never gave it a chance.
Mm-hmm.
But so I made up a lie. I had a friend, Tyler, back in Kansas, and I basically made up a lie to my parents saying that Tyler was diagnosed with cancer and that I wanted to go see him because I didn't know if I was going to ever see him again. And I like, that's bad. Like, I lied about somebody potentially having having a life-threatening disease to go back to Kansas. And then my dad messaged Tyler on Facebook. I didn't connect all these dots in my head.
Oh my gosh!
And it came back and bit me so hard. And you think that would have...
That's a plot twist.
You think that would have ended my little spree, but no.
Just kept on going.
And then so by the end of my high school, I was doing a little better here. I had like some more friends. I was getting into theater. I was doing a lot of like stand-up stuff for like talent show stuff and things like that. And things were going good. And I started dating someone my senior year of high school who was LDS because Slim Pickens. And but no, I liked her a lot. I actually thought for a while that like she was the one. Mm-hmm. Like I was convinced. And she wanted me to start meeting with like some missionary people, and so I did, and started going to church with her. And then like I wasn't really jiving with any of the church stuff. It's just personally not for me, and that's not even just the Mormon thing. It's just like in general, just church doesn't do anything for me. I just lied about getting into it, and then I even went as far as getting baptized into the Mormon church. I got baptized. So this is like a two-part lie. I didn't tell my parents I was getting baptized.
Which is kind of a big deal.
I didn't tell my parents I was getting baptized. Someone from my ward came over and asked them how they felt about me getting baptized. That was some backlash. So I think it would have stopped there, but no, I convinced them that I believed it and I needed to get baptized. So I actually did get baptized. I got the priesthood after that.
Wow, you just kept on moving forward.
And I got the priesthood. I went to the temples. I baptized the dead people.
Wow.
And then after
baptisms for the dead is what it's called.
Yeah, baptisms for the dead. Sorry, I mean
it's not actual dead people.
No. Like it's not. They're
no,
not.
You're not. I'm not
dunking.
I'm being
like
dunked
that.
in the name of someone who has passed.
Right. That's the idea.
But anyway,
when I first heard that as a kid, that was where my mind went.
Hang
on, you baptized dead bodies.
Yeah.
Like it was very morbid to me, but that's the truth. It's you're baptized for someone.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
But so I did that, and then after a while, it just kind of fell apart. They were trying to push me into going on a mission, and that's when I knew I was like, oh yeah,
it's time to stop.
That's 2 more years.
It's 2 more years.
And that relationship just fell apart. Total crash and burn, and stuff like that.
Sure, because I mean that would have hurt a lot of people.
But and that's actually I had anorexia for a while, and that's kind of actually when I first started developing anorexia. I was just in such a downward spiral in my life that it just went into a bunch of other stuff. But again, I continued lying through that phase.
Because did you tell her it was all a lie? Like, or what did you?
I don't remember.
Did you-
I honestly, at this
Okay.
point, it is such a blur in my memory of trauma.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, didn't mean.
So that was a pretty bad one. And then the last one was recently, up until about 4 months ago. I just lied to people about, not necessarily you guys, but like my parents, about how well things were going. I moved to LA, as you guys know.
Yeah.
I moved to LA, you know now. I moved to LA and was pursuing some acting stuff there. And I just lied about how well it was going, I think, and like how well I was doing mentally out there. I felt kind of alone again because I was just working so much on my own YouTube stuff and things like that with my business partner that I didn't really develop a lot of other friendships there. And it's like you can't work with your best friend every day for 12 hours a day and not have it put a strain on your relationship, kind of.
Yeah.
So it was that, and I just lied about how well things were going, I suppose, and like how much film work I was doing and stuff like that. I really wasn't doing tons. You know what I
I'm
mean?
on set with James Franco today.
Nah, not that bad.
Not that
But after that this summer, I just kind of had some other, as you know, that I won't get into, some other health stuff go on, which kind of led me to an epiphany in my life where I just gotta stop. Like, it's not helping anybody. It only hurts myself. It doesn't really hurt anybody but me. And it just, like, builds on my conscience. And, like, there's no point. So, kids, if you're watching this, or adults, because this is marked as an adult video, just, if it's more than a little white lie and you got to keep lying or something like that, just stop. It ain't worth it. It only hurts you.
Public
So,
service announcement.
PSA,
Yeah.
Ryan Brown.
Honesty is the best policy.
If there's any takeaway that you learned today in your life?
Tell the truth. Just do that.
Hashtag truth matters.
Yes, truly. So, with each of our episodes, and this is the second half, we have 2 routine questions that we always ask, and they're always just more for fun. You know, they're just fun questions
Good.
to
We need
ask.
something light after that.
Yeah, for sure. But, yeah, it did go deep.
We love going deep.
Yes, we love going deep. We get way into the deep.
Be careful.
Deep details.
Be careful where you're going there. It's getting a little sexual.
Did
is
not
adult.
take it that
It's
way. I
adult.
was not expecting that. Plot twist.
Commenters now.
Anyway, so the first question is, if you were a boulder, where would you like to be, like, just stuck for the rest of your life, and why? Like,
The rest
if you
of
could,
eternity.
the rest of eternity.
Or like from the beginning of time to the end of time.
Right.
If you had to be stuck somewhere because you are
A boulder.
a boulder.
Yeah.
Physical boulder.
reincarnation,
This
perhaps.
isn't the metaphor boulder.
No, like, you are a boulder.
An actual rock.
Yes.
Am I sedimentary? Am I metamorphic?
You are.
What type of rock is this?
You are granite.
I'm granite.
You are a granite
Okay.
slab.
Just based on geology then.
And you can be any size you want.
I can be
Yes.
any size? Well,
Yeah.
I would like to be big.
Okay.
I would like to, I get more view that way. If I had to be planted somewhere for eternity, man, that would be kind of rough.
It's
Yeah.
tough. It's kind of
I
tough
feel
to narrow down.
I feel like it would have to be a high viewing point. I kind of like being on the Oregon coast.
Okay.
I think that would be kind of cool,
Cool.
just because it's really pretty there.
Yeah.
I think that'd be kind of neat. I'd want to be like on a mountain, so
Yeah.
either the Oregon coast or like somewhere in the Rockies where I get a really good view.
So that
I
was
think that would be cool.
That was my answer. My brother, you know Wyatt, he said a movie theater. He'd like to just be stuck in a movie theater so he can watch movies all the time.
To be honest, that's the smartest answer. I should have thought of that.
I know.
I'm like,
And I think someone else said like be that because they're a boulder and they you can choose your size. Someone else said they'd like to be their own island, and I thought that was pretty cool
That
too.
would be kind of neat. That would be pretty neat.
Yeah, for sure. But I
movie
agree with
ones,
you.
yeah.
I like your answer because it's very much my answer as well.
and there was really quick. My dad's big
right.
on studies like this. There was a study done. This guy that studies happiness and satisfaction or whatever with life, and he has this list of things that actually bring real, lasting happiness. However you want to define that. That's
And
another
one of
topic.
them is sitting in one place for eternity.
Well, no. one of them is having a view in your home, like that looks out.
Not bad.
Because
That's pretty cool,
It actually studies show that it like brings lasting satisfaction.
I mean,
That's a good one. That's a really wise one.
Well, yeah, keep going. What's your other question?
So the other question is, if you could have your life, like your entire life, composed by a band or a musical artist of any kind,
This is the easiest question I've ever heard in my life.
who would it be? All right,
Led
cool.
Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin.
You'd have them
110%.
even
Led
like
Zeppelin.
writing the music to your.
Oh yeah,
life.
my
Zeppelin.
story of my life is Stairway to Heaven.
Oh, right on.
That is legit my anthem song. I listened to that every day when I got home from high school. I would go in the basement and I would blast it on record, using a record, like an old LP record.
Old record player. That's
from
so
my dad,
sick.
original first edition copy of the 4th album of Led Zeppelin.
You're kidding.
Yes.
That is awesome.
Okay, is that a Starbucks?
I'm not seeing a Starbucks.
It's on the left.
Is that?
Is that a Starbucks?
He has like a
We are going
Starbucks
to that.
radar.
We are going there.
How did you see that? That's
I
don't know
so
either.
weird.
That
I
was
memorized it from episode
Needle
1.
in a haystack.
I
That was
memorized it from
incredible.
episode 1. But no, Led Zeppelin, like 100%. I used to come home every day from high school, blast that on the speakers. Probably why I have tinnitus now, and like put my head like right up there. And I learned the percussion section of Stairway to Heaven on drums, so I
Wow.
could play along with it. But I've done the Zeppathon. Have you guys ever done the Zeppathon?
I've never done this.
It's where you sit down and you listen to all 8 Led Zeppelin records in a row,
You're kidding.
continuously. You can
Wow.
do it on like a really long drive, but I just did it in the basement one day in high school. Just like I made my parents bring me my meals because I was like, can't leave the room, it breaks Zeppathon. So Led Zeppelin.
That's intense.
110.
That's
Wait,
intense.
so why?
Because they're just the best
Like,
band
what
ever.
do you resonate with them, or what connects you?
I don't know what it is. It's a feeling. And I think anyone can like resonate to a feeling they have when they listen to a certain song. There's certain songs that just, or music or artists that just like they make you feel a certain way. And I go through all planes of emotion in that one song, Stairway to Heaven.
That's really cool.
I go through all
The emotions.
and I've listened to that song and it got me through some really good times and all my bad times. It's never let me down.
Well, and I can see that because like it goes through so many transitions that I can see you going through multiple
Yeah.
emotions through that song. Great song, by the way. I really do enjoy that song.
Yeah.
I'm
And
like,
classic choice there, Navigator.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I'm familiar with it, but now I'm gonna go home and read the lyrics.
It's a cool
to get
song.
an insight into your soul. But,
If you can tell me what it means, that would be great.
okay.
Because he still hasn't figured it out after all this time.
I've tried to like Google it and they won't even tell you.
So it's not about the like literal, tangible things they're saying. It's about the way you feel.
I think they were high as hell when they wrote that song.
I-
Hi, welcome to Starbucks.
Hey.
What's for today?
Hi, are you great?
I-
Are you doing good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I mean, I could be better. I mean, it's okay.
yeah.
Relatively
I mean, you're
speaking.
getting coffee, so
Yeah, could I get a just a tall decaf Americano?
all right. Anything else for you?
Do you guys need anything?
I'm good.
You
I don't
good?
need anything.
All right, that's it. Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm it. Thank
All
you.
right, so that's it. That's it.
Okay, it's coming to 87 at the window for you.
All right, breaking my bank, but I love it. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Breaking my bank. So we're at Starbucks right now. Per the request of Ryan, we're going there right now.
This is now comedians in cars getting coffee, and so I'm the comedian, and
Yes.
so
You just transformed our channel.
Madison,
He just transformed our channel.
Madison, I need to ask you. It's a very important question. Have
Sure,
you ever
yeah.
had any paranormal experiences?
Actually,
Oh my
Ryan,
goodness, that's
you
a
just
really good
you
question.
just hit probably one of my most enthusiastic conversations on the planet. Yes, I've
Yeah.
had many paranormal experiences.
Many.
This is so for
Of which we've talked about.
yes, you and I
in
have
depth
both talked
before.
about this a lot. So
Speaking of deepness.
this is a fair warning. This is going to get real deep on my part.
I'm
so
ready. I'm
just fair warning. As far as supernatural goes, this is going to get heavy.
We have 1 minute.
Yes,
get deep.
we do. So I'll cram it into 1 minute. So, yes, I've had paranormal experiences. I actually grew up in a house that was haunted. So I had many experiences, even like playing games like hide and seek. I would have silhouettes of people standing in front of me that weren't really there, that were.
oh my gosh.
And my brother has had conversations with people that were deceased.
Do you guys ever do this thing where you look into each other's and you're like, I see dead people?
No, we have not done that yet, but we actually did laugh and we actually did talk to some people and like, well, as a joke, we looked at them and said, well, in our house we see dead people. And they just went, and it was like,
No, seriously, I see dead people.
yeah, right, exactly. Like that as happened. So, I mean, I've had things levitate in front of me. I've seen people in my room, my door closed by itself, my lights have turned on by themselves. I've had my sheets above me while I was sleeping, and I was so used to it at that time that I finally just like grabbed it and pulled them back down like I'm trying to sleep. Like that's how used to the paranormal. Yeah, like they got annoying to me. That's how
I know we're
over
over the time limit, but if you were just anybody else and I was talking about this, I'd be like, okay, this guy is freaking retarded or crazy. Don't say the R word. This guy.
It's a mean word. Yeah.
Mean word. But because I know you, you're a super honest person.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I'm blown away. That almost means confirmation of ghosts in my mind's eye. Like, you don't know how honest this person is.
Thank you.
Like, if I said it, I would be like, yeah, no way, 90% chance he's lying. But seriously, Madison, yeah, okay. Well, let's end it on that note.
Yes, for sure. I have a lot more stories, but we are ending it there. So thank you for joining us with Passenger Seat. Thanks for posing the question. That was very random, and I appreciate spontaneity. Is that how you say it?
Yeah,
spontaneity?
Yeah, but you haven't been interviewed yet.
Yeah, we haven't. We haven't interviewed by anyone.
I'll do it. I'll do it for you sometime.
That sounds good, man. Well, thank you for coming again. Crimson Studios, check out his YouTube page. It's some really fun stuff. I've really enjoyed the stuff that I've seen. Madison Bills, Belinda Glenn, Ryan Brown. Thanks for joining us.
Hey.
Hi.
All right,
Thank you.
Do you have the tall Americana?
Yes.
Okay, so you're telling me 287.
Pass them that.
Okay, sounds good.
I was
Here you
gonna
go.
get it,
Oh, no.
but
You're good. I have a card, so it's almost like I'm not
Okay,
paying.
and then here is the.
Thank you.
And it looks like you're all set.
All right, thank you. What was your name?
Raquel.
Raquel. Okay, I'm seeing like a lot of name tags on there. So thank you, Raquel.
Yeah, have a great day.
You as
Rock
well.
it.
I like your hair, by the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, guys.